Hello everyone, welcome to Carrie's Crochet and Craft. Today is January 6th and I had said before Christmas break that I was thinking of doing kind of a stash busting challenge in January. And that I am. Now that it's a week into January, I actually need to get started on that, I guess. Yeah, it's just my hobby room is not my own during the breaks because my older son comes home from college and lives in my hobby room, and so it's hard to get time in here to work on my stuff, make videos, and then it's hard to make videos inside the house because we also had his girlfriend staying with us, and she was she was sleeping in the living room, so I just didn't have space for that. So I am getting my start now, although I have been crocheting this last week. This is a project I got started actually the last weekend of December because I was going to make it for our pastor who was retiring, but then I realized I wasn't going to be done in time, and so I picked out one of my other Afghans that I have crocheted in the past, and I gave that to them instead. So I have that project that I'm going to kind of count for January, even though I started it in December. I did continue crocheting on it throughout this last week. Of course, what day? Wednesday was January 1. So, you know, we're 5 days past that, that I've been working on this blanket. Anyway. So let's get started. So during January, I am going to try to use up as many skeins of yarn as I can. And so I'll keep track of the stuff that I use up, the yarn that I use up. And if you remember, I got this in one of the Advent calendar bags from Hobie. Just a little notebook. Oh, and I just realized one of the ribbons that came in the sets had this pine and pine cone set pattern on it. I didn't even realize that until now. That's cool. Anyway, it is just a dot matrix pages in here for bullet journaling type of thing. So I'm going to use this to keep track of the skeins that I use and what I make with them during this month. I'm horrible at long-term record keeping, but I think for a challenge for 1 month, I can probably do it. So that is on the agenda for January. Future months, I want to then do a finishing whips challenge because I have several whips that I want to finish. And then after that, I'll have lots of scraps, I'm sure, left over from this challenge where it's, you know, just a small amount left, more than I want to just toss, but not enough for like a larger project. But I love to make like scrap gans and stuff. So I'll take all of those smaller little bits and make something from them. So that'll be another challenge after the whips. So I'm looking forward to this. I hope that I can make a lot this month to not only get rid of all the yarn that I have in this room, but also to have stuff to sell, whether it's online or if I start a gift shop here on our property, or if I happen to find an event to sell out. But typically there's not going to be an event that I can participate in until May. Yeah, until May. There might be something that pops up, but until then I really don't have any place to sell. So it'll just be building up a stash. So let's get started. I'll show you what some of my first projects will be. I don't want to go through all of my yarn stash and figure out what to make, because then I'll just have like 5 bazillion projects that I want to work on, and then nothing will get done because I'll be overwhelmed and I won't know where to start. So I'm not going to do that. I don't want to make a pile of yarn and say, I'm going to work through all of this. No, it's going to be, I'm working on this one, and then, oh, I want to do this one next, and I work on that. Otherwise, I get way too overwhelmed and I don't know where to start. So I have well, I have 5 projects right here to work on or finish. And that's going to be what I start with. So my first thing is to finish this blanket that I started the last week of December. This is called a 3D crochet blanket. And it's kind of a neat textured pattern. I made it a little bit larger than this. So this dimensions of the directions they gave are, what are they? It would be 34 inches wide by 37 inches long, and it's using blanket yarn and a size, well, it says N, yeah, N or P, or 10 millimeter hook. But there is a pattern repeat, so you can do a multiple of 4 plus 3. So first, for their pattern, they did 67, which is a multiple of 4 to make 64 plus 3 to get 67. So I just added like a couple sets of 8, I think, to make it larger. But this is, this pattern right here shows striped in 2 colors. I took my Ogos, let me see, my blanket Ogos that I had. And they come, like that. This is one section of an Ogo. So I took 4 different colors of Ogo sections and combined them to make this striped blanket. So navy, or this navy royal, I don't know, blue, dark blue color is one of them. So here, let me hold it up for you, and actually let me back you up a little bit and I will show this to you in full. Right now I am on the last section of the last color of this section. Sorry, that's not coming out right. The last stripe before the finishing stripe. So I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. Let me stand up and I'll show it to you. Okay, so this is the entire blanket that you see here. So if I hold it touching the ground, so you can see I'm 5'2", so it comes up so far to mid-chest for me. This stripe still has 3 more rows to go. I'm partway through row 4, and they have 6 rows per section. So that'll add, a couple more inches, and then I'm going to do 1 more stripe to finish it off. So the colors that I chose, of course, they have no names because they were on the Ogos, which is just a name for the entire set of 3. So there's not a name for each single one. But you can see here the pattern that I did was this dark blue, then this mid blue. Sorry, the lighting's not very good. Then I go to this kind of a gray-green color. Yeah, let's get back in better lighting for that. There, this is better. Okay, so we have the dark blue, the mid-tone blue, kind of the greenish gray, grayish green, and then this teal color. And then I start the pattern over again. So each of these sections takes just about 1/3 of the Ogo. And for some of them I had to use like a part of a second section portion because it didn't quite do the entire 6 rows. This color right here, this teal green, I actually only had 2 of these, and each one did not do a full 6 rows. So for each one of this color, it has 5 rows. So anyway, I did, repeat 2 sections, and then I started over. I just don't have another one of this color to finish it off. So I'm going to take more of the dark blue and just kind of frame it off so it begins with dark blue and it ends with dark blue. So it'll be slightly, let's see, so it'll be more up to my neck size by the time I'm done with it. So if we count that for the challenge, each one of these, basically a section of 3 equals 1 Ogo, which is the same as 1 skein of regular. So it's 220 yards basically per 3 rows or 3 colors. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then I'll have, by the time I'm done, I'll have 4, basically 4 skeins of blanket yarn that I used on this blanket. But I love the texture of it. It's so pretty. And it's a nice, it's kind of a heavier blanket, especially since I made it a little bit wider than the original pattern called for. But I thought that'd be a nice blanket to have. So that'll be my first project, and I'm trying to decide whether, since I started it in December, if it's going to count for skeins for January. I think I'm going to, because it did start out, you know, as a project. Well, it didn't start out as a project for January skein stash buster challenge, but that's how it's going to end up being. So I think I'm going to count it 4 skeins for that when it's done. Okay. I should also mention that this is kind of inspired by Dana from Wonderlust Crochet. Dana's Wonderlust Crochet. I mentioned her in my last video, but I couldn't remember her channel name. But then she got on and commented. So yeah, so a few years ago, Dana started this challenge called Scorched Earth. And it's basically, you know, just kind of trying to go scorched earth on your yarn and just use it all up, get rid of it type of thing. So I did that challenge with her before. So this is just kind of a continuation, joining in again on that. And I think she has a video about the Scorched Earth Challenge 2025. She has a video on that over on her channel, so you can go watch that if you want and join in. It's basically just choosing some way in which to use your yarn, whether you want to use whips, whether you want to use like the scraps, whether you want to see how many skeins you can get rid of, or, you know, there's different ways you can do the challenge. You can make it your own, but the point is to not just let the yarn sit there, but to use it up somehow. So that's what that's all about. Okay, the next project that I'm going to do, I've been wanting more sweaters, and I've been collecting sweater patterns, and I have some yarn for sweaters. I have just never sat down to work on them. So I've shown you this before, this sweater. I got it on premieryarns.com using Premier Serenity Chunky, and I got the candy color here. So I have 6 skeins with which to make this one. So that'll be another project I work on this month. And then, of course, I have not yet worked on the bag, the camellia bag, nor the snowdrop kerchief. So I would like to work on those as well. The towel is not getting worked on for this challenge. The towel will be later, much later. Anyway, so that's that. Now, this next one is kind of fun. When my grandma ended up moving, at one point they were snowbirds and they ended up moving down to Arizona, and at some point anyway I got a whole bunch of her like crochet and art books, which I actually have them in a box here somewhere, and I was thinking it would be really fun to go through those and just kind of see some of the vintage patterns in there. But this leaflet was in there. Vintage 70s, man. Let me see if there's a copyright date. Maybe it's even 80s. I don't know. 1974. 1974 by Leisure Arts. So these are hats and scarves to crochet, to knit and crochet. So I thought it would be fun to go through these and crochet the ones that are crochet. I will leave the knitted ones alone since I don't knit. So there are 3 crocheted patterns in here. So one of them is number 1 here. The next one is number 2 right here in the center. And then the other one is bound in the back here. It's number 6. So this one in the red here. So I am going to crochet these. I mean, these scarves have to be like 9 feet long. Maybe it says. They are super long and they're wide. Okay. 11 inches wide, 7 feet long before the fringing. And then you add the fringing. That's for this middle one here. This one here is 8 inches wide and 7 feet long before the fringing. And then this one back here is, where is it? 5.5 inches wide and 7 feet long before fringing. So 7 feet long. They look longer than that to me, but then you add the fringing, which is probably another six inches or so on each side. So about 8 feet long. Anyway, I'm going to do one of these, and I believe the one I have yarn picked out for is number 2. The shell stitch, I think. I'll have to go, I need to figure out which one again, because this is the yarn that I have to use for that I'm going to use for that. It is, I don't even know where I got this yarn. Might have been something my husband picked up for me in another country. I don't know. Plymouth Yarn Encore knitting worsted weight, 75% acrylic and 25% wool. And it's from Bristol, Pennsylvania. Use size H8 hook. Machine wash, gentle cycle, tumble dry. Where are the yardage here? 200 yards per skein. So I have 6 skeins, so that's 1,200 yards. And let's see. I need to figure out which one I was going to do, because I had it figured out, because they take different amounts of yarn, and so I wanted to make sure I used up that on all of them. 4 skeins, 4 ounce. I don't know. I don't remember which one it was. They aren't giving me the amounts. I had it figured out at one point. So anyway, I'm gonna make one of these vintage scarves and hat sets. Love it. I wish I could say I knew when this yarn was from. Where I don't think it's vintage yarn, but anyway, that's gonna get me started on using up, and I will keep track of how many skeins I use, and I'll see if I can keep like the labels. Just kind of fun collecting those, but some of my things don't have labels, like my Ogos. They don't have labels on them. I mean, they did come with a Lego, but I just kind of used random ones that were already out of their label that I've thrown away, because once you take them off the label, you know, anyway, you have to take it off of the label in order to use it, rather than just being able to use it in the label as you work it down. Because like usually I leave the label on and I pull it out this way, and then the label stays with it for a while. But anyway, that, I think that's it for the day, and I will keep you updated as far as what I've been making and how much I've been using. So I'm looking forward to this and using up all this yarn. There's so much. There's so much. Okay, we'll see you next time. Bye.